What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Opinionated Diva Presents Plenty of Tiff. I'm your girl, Tiffany, aka Opinionated Diva. I can't believe we are already in the middle of 2026. I'm in this weird headspace where I just celebrated my birthday last month, and now it's like I know I'm blessed to wake up every day, but these days of my birth honey keep creeping TLC style, and I don't like it. But that is neither here nor there. Let's kick off episode 22 with a brand new Diva Drop. This week's Diva Drop is all things sports. Now, if you're thinking I'm the last person anyone expects to be talking about sports, you're absolutely right. My idea of being a sports fan is tuning in to pageant drama around the world and wondering when on earth the Olympics is going to finally get a backbone and recognize cheer and dance as professional sports. Because the athleticism, unmatched. The nail-biting drama, top tier. But alas, let's talk about the Knicks. How about those Knicks? The screams, the tears, the vandalism of public and private property. Game 4 of the NBA Finals against the San Antonio Spurs was an absolute night to remember. Get ready. Tonight, gonna make this a night to remember. Get ready. For 1 nanosecond, I am putting the whole internet debate of what constitutes a real New Yorker to the side. I think we all can agree that if you were physically in New York City on Wednesday night for Game 4, hell, honey, even if you were in the tri-state area, you know what? Any state. As a matter of fact, if you were breathing and cheering for the Knicks anywhere in the world, you felt that New York energy through your soul. And to quote the king herself, the Knicks said, "You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. No, no." I bet they played the shit out of that song during halftime in that locker room because the way they turned around in the second half, all bets were off. And when we woke up on Thursday, we all had a New York bop in our step, did we not? To come back from a 29-point deficit, NBA Finals history was literally made. Early in the fourth quarter, when the Knicks were still down by about 20, the math wasn't mathing, honey. And according to ESPN Analytics, the Knicks had a microscopic 0.4% chance of winning the game. 0.4% chance of winning the game. The stats completely counted them out. Many had given up, and Victor Wembanyama, who is super cute but quite smug during this series, but I must admit, I'd be the same way if I was 22 in the NBA Finals. But he thought it was a wrap. The whole team did. But Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby said, hold that W, and pulled off a 107 to 106 miracle. I literally cannot stress enough how never giving up is a damn thing, okay? And we can't talk about MSG without mentioning Celebrity Row. My favorites were there, of course, Spike Lee and Fat Joe. Chris Rock was there, Tracy Morgan, Mariska Hargitay, Taylor Swift, Timothy Chalamet and Kylie Jenner, comedians Larry David, who I love, and Ben Stiller. The list goes on and on. Feel free to look up that full list. Every single person in the garden was losing their minds. But the real MVP of the entire night, it wasn't just Karl Anthony Towns turning it up on the court, honey. It was his fiancée, Jordan Woods, and her good luck purse. The internet is calling it the lucky purse. It completely sold out online, and honestly, I believe in the supernatural power of that bag, honey. What say you? Are you sending Brunson and OG their flowers? And not for nothing. Manhattan Borough President Brad Holman Siegel declared June 11th, 2026 as OG Anunoby Day, Appreciation Day to be exact. And let's think about this. Are we officially sending a bouquet and a thank you note to Jordan Woods' orange purse for saving the season? I'm going to go with that. Okay, it's hard for any sport to top the high-stakes energy of the NBA Finals, but this is Opinionated Diva, and my eyes have been wandering because this past week, my social media feed has been flooded with posts of all these international soccer teams arriving in the U.S. for the FIFA World Cup. And I'll just say this, hubba, 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 hubba. Honey, if I had a longer tongue and a tail, they would both be wagging at the screen because these teams are stepping off the flights looking like gourmet snacks, okay? They aren't just arriving, they are putting on whole runway shows at the airport gates. Now, I haven't seen every team yet, but so far, my personal favorite, the Democratic Republic of Congo. The style, the swagger, the melanin, perfection. And as they say, once you go black, well, you know the rest. But look, I am an equal opportunity admirer, and I definitely saw some jungle fever potential coming through that Texas airport with the Congolese team, looking like literal vanilla kings of Zamunda. Clean cut, tailored suits, just looking like gold. I don't know who is coming up with the dress code for these football clubs, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you. But let's bring it back to reality, my reality anyway. Me and my entire group chat entered the New York City World Cup ticket lottery, and well, the heartbreak is real. I have no bad words to say about our new mayor, Zoran Mamdani, except for the fact that none of us won a single thing. And I feel a way about that. Okay. Mayor Mamdani announced this partnership to secure 1,000 affordable tickets exclusively for working class New York City residents. They capped the lottery entries, and the winners got notified on June 3rd. Of course, I got my rejection email. And they won the opportunity to purchase $50 tickets at MetLife Stadium, plus a free round trip bus ride from the city. I love New York, right? I think you get 2 tickets max per person. So even though I didn't win, a big congratulations to all of you lucky New Yorkers who actually snagged tickets. And as for me, I'll be watching the matches somewhere in one of the 5 boroughs with a cocktail in my hands, pretending I understand the rules while all I'm doing is staring at the players. If you know of any bars or watch party spots in the city for the FIFA World Cup, do your girl a favor, drop them in the comments or slide in my DMs and pull up a chair. Let's roll, okay? All right. Enough about sports until next week because, honey, Knicks in 5. But let's move on to our next segment, Shine, Shade, or Side Eye. This week's Shine, Shade, or Side Eye is going to be a little all over the place. I've officially diagnosed this segment with borderline multiple personality disorder because there is no rhyme or reason to what stories make it to this part of the show. It's just trending stories and news that catches my eye. So let's jump right into our first story. And that story is going to be one that is called The Battle of the Lace Fronts. Miss Ice Spice herself is officially being dragged into court by a wig company, and the legal receipts are as colorful as the wigs in question. Now, according to the court documents, the original contract was for 25 custom-made wigs at a discounted price of $20,000. The plaintiff in this case, the Bella brand, is suing Ice Spice for $400,000. And for why? Because they claim she straight up said, buy a wig, and refused to pay. Never took delivery of the hair, and then hopped on social media to talk trash about their brand. They allege that her internet bashing caused them major reputational damage and even made them temporarily lose another high-end celebrity client. Now, I'm not really sure what that means. Like, did they cancel the commission of one wig and then came back later for another wig? I don't know. If I was a defense attorney, I would need more context because, honey, did you lose them or not? The Bella brand is known for creating luxury lace fronts seen on artists such as Dolce, Sexy Red, and yes, Nicki Minaj. And according to the lawsuit, Ice Spice's team explicitly requested custom wigs inspired by Nicki's signature looks. But hold on. The irony of this is as full as 4 bundles. If you remember, a couple of years ago, private text messages were leaked by her former best friend, Baby Storm, where Ice Spice was caught calling Nicki delusional, which she is, and ungrateful, which she is. But in those texts, she later admitted that, yes, they were true. And according to her, it was a moment of frustration and that her and Nicki were on good terms and mutuals, honey, whatever that means. So, was the Bella brand being shady in their court documents by emphasizing the wigs were Nicki Minaj inspired? I'm going to go with yes. I just find it odd that they couldn't just leave it at custom wigs. I doubt the judge is going to do any research on the art of the lace front wig to understand that context. But this company definitely knew that we were going to catch that shade. And I did. Ice Spice tried to get the whole case thrown out, telling the judge the company was just looking for a viral moment and some clout. But the legal system said, and her motion to dismiss was denied. She has been ordered to sit for a formal deposition under oath. What do y'all think? Is Ice Spice being targeted for a quick payout, or did she completely play herself over some lace fronts by not paying up? And also, did these lace fronts go to wig heaven, or were they reincarnated on another unsuspecting client? Things that make you go, Speaking of people getting tangled up in the legal system, if you think Ice Spice sitting down for a deposition is a mess, hold on to your lace fronts if you have them, okay? Because we are pivoting from unpaid wig balances straight to a multi-million-dollar scam where the pandemic-era chickens have officially come home to roost. We're talking about Marlon Moore, who the streets of Dallas know as DJ ASAP, and his wife, LaShonda Moore. Now, if you take your mind back to the absolute peak of COVID-19 and the pandemic in 2020, yes, I know it may be very traumatic for some, so feel free to skip this section if you must. Only 3 minutes, I'm going to go on here. But if you can push through the pain and remember the world as it was back then, when the world was shut down, people were losing their jobs, everybody was stressing about how they're going to pay their mortgages and their rent and their bills. This couple decided to launch a operation called BENT, which stood for Blessings in No Time. They marketed this venture as an altruistic, invitation-only gift-giving circle explicitly designed to help the Black community build wealth and survive the economic downturn. They even went on the OWN network's reality show, Family or Fiancé, to polish up their image, flash their luxury lifestyle, and make themselves look like the absolute blueprint of community success. But behind that polished public image, the feds revealed they were running a certified multi-million-dollar pyramid scheme. They set up these crazy playing boards structured on 4 levels. You start at the bottom as fire, then move to wind, earth, and finally water. They told vulnerable people, look, just put down $1,400. It's a blessing, right? A blessing payment. Recruit your friends, family, and church members to do the same. And when you reach the water position, you'll get an 800% return or $11,000 cash guaranteed. They even promised a 100% refund if you weren't satisfied. So with that, of course, over 10,000 people across the nation trusted them, poured their hard-earned savings into this bucket, thinking they were going to each lift each other up. But the game was completely rigged. DJ ASAP and LaShonda stacked the decks, placed themselves at the top of the playing boards, and pocketed over $30 million of victim losses for their own personal gain. That is not a blessing, honey. That is top-tier scamming. Okay. And the shade of it all, when the house of cards started collapsing on them, they tried to play it off in court like they were just trying to fix the program once it took on a life of its own. But did you try to fix the program, or did you try to move money around in them bank accounts? They initially tried to take a plea deal back in 2025, but they couldn't even follow the rules of their own pretrial release. So the judge threw that deal out and dragged them back into court for trial. Which brings me to the grand finale. In January of this year, a federal jury found them both guilty on multiple counts of conspiracy, wire fraud, and money laundering. And just this week, the hammer officially dropped. The judge sentenced them both to 40 years each in federal prison. This is an American Greed episode waiting to happen. But let this be a warning. In today's world, the only way you're going to see fast money is if you hit the lottery, find a bag of money lying on the street, or you commit a crime. There is no middle ground. Even a susu has a better business model and structure than these setups. And honestly, if you don't know what a susu is, you don't need to know. So moving right along. What do y'all think? Did you or anyone in the circle get caught up in that bent chaos back in the day in 2020? Or are you just glad to see the feds handing out real consequences for white-collar criminals and their greed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But guess what? The multiple personality disorder of this timeline continues. I call this story Unsolved Mysteries. What was supposed to be a beautiful vacation to Japan to celebrate a college student's graduation turned into a parent's absolute worst nightmare. We're talking about 20-year-old James Weston Higginbotham, an Auburn University student who went missing in Kyoto, Japan, and was tragically found deceased in a mountainous area right outside of Kyoto after a week-long search. Now, when this story first hit national news, the headlines had me saying, hold on, like something in the milk ain't clean here. Because his mother was on the news and she reported that right before he walked away, they had gotten to a heated argument over her using ChatGPT to help plan their travel plans and navigate the city. I'm like, okay, I need to unpack this. Did this young man really storm off and never come back just because he was mad at an AI chatbot his mom was using? But his mom went on to explain that Weston wasn't just throwing a random tantrum, that he was a biosystems engineering student, a dedicated vegan, and a fierce environmentalist. He was deeply passionate about protecting the planet and was protesting the massive amount of water and natural resources it takes to power AI data centers. So seeing it used on his family trip triggered him, right? Okay, honestly, it was giving me more context, okay? So I'm like, all right, I mean, honey, I guess. So anyway, his mom said to blow off steam, he did what he usually does, where he goes to his happy place in the woods and to hike and explore. But it must be noted that he did not have on hiking attire. He had on a t-shirt, some corduroys, and some worn-out white and black Adidas. He hopped on a train, headed toward a trail in the Yamashina area, and his phone location went dark. But right after he went into those mountains, a big storm system with torrential rain and typhoon force winds slammed Kyoto. So it really wasn't that he vanished into thin air because he was mad at ChatGPT. It is a heartbreaking case of a young man trying to clear his head who tragically got trapped and caught in the absolute worst elements in unfamiliar terrain. But I still want to unpack this a little bit further because I have so many thoughts running through my mind about how this story hit the news cycle. First and foremost, let me be entirely clear and respectful. Every single missing persons case is critical and important and deserves to be investigated to the absolute fullest. But I was genuinely surprised by the sheer volume of national and international media attention that this received, especially given the fact that he stormed off on his own after a family argument, which is starkly different than someone who was kidnapped or sex trafficked or targeted or worse. Again, don't get me wrong. It's not that his story doesn't matter or that his family's heartbreak shouldn't be acknowledged. But the situation highlights a major uncomfortable truth about institutional gatekeeping. It shows a glaring contrast in how the mainstream media filters what they decide is newsworthy versus what we get to see and what get completely left out. While national networks are running nonstop headlines over this tragic vacation dispute and a man who, by all accounts, did not want to be found, Japanese authorities will not release the cause of his death, but said it was not foul play. So either it was due to the storm, honey, or you can come to your own short list of possibilities. But I digress. There are countless other families out there screaming into the void, begging to be heard for their missing loved ones to come home, and they can't get a single camera to show up. Right? So that's just some food for thought. So I'm really giving shade here and side eye to the media on this one more than anything else. And in the end, it really is a tragic, tragic story. Speaking of the media, this week's Read the Room blurs the line between shine shade and side eye because I'm going to need them to also read the room. This week's Read the Room segment is completely blurring the lines with a heavy shade and side eye because I'm going to need the media to read the room as I give the heaviest, can't keep my eyelids open, and a beach umbrella full of shade. Now, if you're a regular who watches the show and rocks with your girl, you know I spoke about the teenage murderer Mackenzie Shirilla out of Cleveland, Ohio, a couple of episodes back. Well, this week, we are boarding a flight and traveling to Dallas, Texas for another story involving a teenage convicted murderer, 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony, who also was just 17 years old at the time of the crime he committed. Now, look, I could go on and on and on and on about how Mackenzie has been portrayed in the news versus how Karmelo has been portrayed in the news. The coverage, the trial, the jury selection, and non-selection, the verdict. Honey, child, please. This is just another shocking, to no one, example of media coverage and the glaring contrast. And if I really wanted to fully unpack this story, I would need to get with Anderson Cooper or AC360 or pull up a seat on the Joy Reid show and perpetual sign it to MSNBC for canceling the readout because shame on y'all. But look, I'm not saying I won't ever dive into this on here because the story is not ending, it's just beginning. But I will just say this. The math in our judicial system is simply not mathing. Mackenzie killed 2 people and got 15 to life for both to run concurrently, meaning those sentences run together. So she is eligible for parole in 15 years when she is 33 years old. Meanwhile, Karmelo got 35 years and will be eligible for parole in 17 and a half years. 15 to life for 2 murders versus a minimum of 17.5 for 1. Now, no one person is more important than another when they leave this earth. But the disparities like this make you completely understand why nobody has an ounce of faith in our judicial system. But guess what? That's not even why we're here for Read the Room. Oh, no. Oh, no. The real audacity is sitting with one particular reporter covering this case, one Rebecca Lopez of Dallas ABC affiliate WFAA. To set the scene, this journalist was outside the courtroom covering the case and acknowledging the racial tensions on both sides. But before addressing it, she says, quote, let's talk a little bit about the big gorilla, so to speak. Huh? What? She took a saying that has been around like forever, especially in journalism, and flipped it into the most overt and racist way possible. And this is a seasoned journalist, so I'm not knocking her credentials. her quote slip of the tongue. And not to go all Sigmund Freud on y'all, but this to me is a classic case of conscious belief, what you tell yourself, versus unconscious intention, what drives your actions, i.e., what comes out of your damn mouth. What on earth were you trying to convey when instead of saying, let's address the elephant in the room, you turn to your colleague and say, the gorilla? I've heard of 800-pound gorilla, which literally doesn't exist, by the way. But you could have even said the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And I might have been like, I can kind of see why she said that, even though it still would have been inappropriate given the circumstance. But no, if you use the word gorilla because you think it's a bigger, more massive issue, well, guess what? The elephant wins. A 10,000-pound animal versus a 300-pound, maybe 4. Maybe you were trying to say, you know what? This issue is more aggressive, high stakes. Guess what? The elephant still wins. Can you imagine a 10,000-pound wild beast charging at you full speed versus, again, a 300-pound one? In absolutely no context does your use of that word work, especially here. Whenever you are describing anyone as it relates to people and it's an animal in the Jungle Book aside from a low-down dirty snake, it doesn't have a place in the conversation because all roads are going to lead here, which is a damn mess. So since the dictionary and basic logic left the chat, the only thing left for us to deduce is that there was a Black man sitting in the courtroom being convicted and you addressed the gorilla in the room. Girl, are you insane? In the year 2026, did you think that Beyonce's internet was not going to notice that? And this is not cherry picking, right? Like, oh no, you know what she meant. No, the fuck I don't. I don't know what she meant. I absolutely do not know what she meant. Her station issued an apology, and I'm sure she's feeling the heat. Well, I mean, you live in Dallas, so you should be used to it. Read the room next time, okay? But what do y'all think? Am I reading too much into this? Or did the reporter execute a Freudian slip on live television? And that, my beautiful people, is our show for today. From 0.4% miracle comeback at MSG to the FIFA team's runway shows happening at the airports here and the gates and whatever the hell is going on in these courtrooms, honey. June is giving us full-blown mess, and you know your girl Tiff is here for it all. But before I sign off, I need to hear from you in the comments. Are you buying a replica of Jordan Wood's orange good luck purse? Did you get targeted by any blessings in no time boards back in 2020? And most importantly, what bar are we hitting up to watch the World Cup matches since the ticket lottery completely did us dirty? Drop those New York City spots in my DMs, okay? Make sure you hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with a friend who needs to read the room today. So find me on IG at Opinionated Diva and on TikTok at The Opinionated Diva to keep the conversation going because the internet chaos never stops. Huge thank you to all of you for tuning in to another episode of Opinionated Diva Presents Plenty of Tiff. Keep your lace front secure, but honey, it's too hot for a lace front. It's too hot. Don't let anyone play you out of your hard-earned cash. And remember, if the math ain't mathin', someone is definitely trying to count you out. Until next week, Knicks in 5. Peace.